Welcome Spartans to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts spread on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Breaking mission from Halo 5 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Genesis mission from Halo 5. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krysta Brown.
The Warden Eternal is like that friend you never invite, but keeps showing up anyway. Like, all the time.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, what are you guys doing?
Leave us alone! Go home!
Last mission, exactly. Get in one of your other bodies that's not here. Last mission, before the storm and Battle of Sunayan, Dr. Halsey activated the constructor, and it immediately took off for the Guardian buried beneath Sunayan. The Spartan Sangheili Alliance gave chase and made a hot drop down into the sacred city. After taking out the Covenant's air defenses, Fireteam Osiris and the Arbiter battled Prometheans as the Guardian rose from the depths. Locke and his Spartan 4s defeated Warden Eternal for the second time, our third of the game, and then hopped Hero Palmer's Pelican on the way to hitching a ride on the Guardian. This mission, Fireteam Osiris walks down the spine of a Guardian and lands feet first onto Genesis. The Spartans make contact with Blue Team as well as the monitor of Genesis 031 Exuberant Witness.
Yes!
The super sweet Forerunner light bulb informs Osiris of Cortana's plans to claim the mantle, because they didn't know yet, right? With her help, Locke, Buck, Tanaka, and Vale power towards Blue Team's location at the Gateway. However, Warden Eternal has other plans. The date of the game is October 28th, 2558. So we've made it to Genesis. This is our final goal, our final destination for Fireteam Osiris. They've been hunting down Blue Team this whole way, and their plan that Roland came up with way back in like Mission 5 finally comes into fruition, and they are on Genesis, where both Cortana and Blue Team are. This will be interesting. Now, there's not much of a cutscene here. This is kind of the Guardian just kind of pops out of slip space and shows itself, and then we really get to play. There's not much to it right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much the same Guardian intro we've seen of them slip space in.
They just kind of crawl out of slip space. Mm-hmm. David, do you want to talk about this initial play area? Like, what's going on here?
I would love to, because this is one of the best intros to the missions in this game. I think this is really, really cool. So pretty much, like you said, the Guardian comes out of slip space. It's at Genesis, and Osiris are just on the. I don't know how they're not in it. They're on the Guardian.
Yeah,
and
they like warped inside of it somehow last mission.
And then when they come outside of it and immediately start falling, so you hear like Locke say, "Oh, grav boots on," and everybody like magnetically locks then to the side of the ship. But like you have to, it doesn't feel like it at first, but you have to remember you're looking down towards the ground. Like you're vertically going down, and you pretty much have to. The first objective is to run down the surface of the Guardian to get close enough to the surface of the planet, so that when you jump off, you won't die. Which is in theory pretty damn cool. Even though we know Spartans can like re-enter from space and be relatively okay. But maybe it's not Spartan 4s aren't as badass. It's like Spartan 2s and stuff.
I noticed that if you take a second and like look around, you can kind of figure out how you're kind of situated on the Guardian, but it's also like, I don't recommend it because you can get disoriented really quickly.
Yeah, it's really trippy.
It's best
it's
to
cool
just
though.
start chugging down.
Yeah, so your objective is to pretty much sprint down the surface of the Guardian towards the end. So you're running down its kind of central tail, shall we say? And it's cool. There's some enemies that pop out and stuff like that. They're purposely weakened to allow you to kind of kill them pretty quick. That kind of came up in the trivia when I was looking at it, which I thought was cool. pretty much they can be weakened to have armor that breaks from a single shot, essentially. So you don't have to spend a lot of ammo shooting them. You're not really supposed to really fight here anyway. So you're just kind of running down. I love doing, like, if you try and throw grenades, it's really hilarious because it doesn't work. They just fall to the ground.
Oh yeah, I never tried that.
Also, every enemy
Yeah,
seems to be like
cool.
one hit as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're all kind of
That's what you're saying.
weakened to allow you to kind of get through this. I love jumping, boosting, and smart scoping. You just
Yes.
fly straight down. It allows you to, because you're actually falling down as opposed to jumping up, which is really cool. So I like the way the mechanic has changed slightly to do that. You can fall through gaps in the Guardian and die, so just be aware of that when you're coming down here.
If you
Yeah, it's a
stay
little bit annoying,
directly in the middle and you just keep jumping, you'll be fine. But if you kind of swerve to either side, that's when you find trouble.
Yeah, so the whole point is running down here. I've never done it, but apparently if you just stay on the Guardian, after a period of time, the Guardian will eventually give out like a warning pulse every 2 minutes, and then a final pulse that kills everybody straight away.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. It says that after about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll just like be like just obliterated by the Guardian.
It's
So
gonna shrug you off. It's like,
yeah.
get off me.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And pretty much when you get the end, you get a small little cutscene of you diving off the ship and then like landing on the ground. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the he talks about the mag boots right away. So activate your mag boots, and so when you jump, you don't fall straight down to the planet because your mag boots are then pulling you back down toward the Guardian, which it makes sense in theory. The one thing I think that they're missing here, to Krysta's point, is you get a little disoriented. It's cool that you're walking down the side of the Guardian. I wish they just they pulled out and did a wide shot of you could
like
see
on
the Guardians walking down. Yeah,
You know what would be
because
cool?
walking sideways straight down.
Is if you, like, the Guardian comes in and then instead of just cutting straight to lock, it like zooms into the place where you are on the Guardian and then you go into first person.
Right.
That would have been a cool way to do it. Yeah, like a sweeping camera or something like that.
Yeah, I mean everything. It's a cool experience, but if they just had that one little piece, that one wide shot, maybe a second or two, whatever it is, it would have helped kind of set everybody's like, oh yeah, I am walking down this thing, and it looks amazing. All right, so then we got all the way down. Well, let's see. Any other thoughts here? There's some phaetons that are flying around. To your point, that enemies are weaker. It wants you to hustle down, so I'm not really taking my time here ever. I'm just hustling down, and then eventually it'll hit that cutscene part, and you're still way up. So I don't know. It's not like we get that far down this thing before we do make our final descent, and then you have your little jet packs that slow you down before you hit the ground there. Any other thoughts, Krysta, before we start trudging on Genesis?
No, it's cool. I enjoy it. That's about it.
All right, so we head down right away. Oh, I think the first thing we do actually is we try to, once we realize that we're on this other planet, we try to contact, or Locke tries to contact Blue Team, and he can't do it quite yet. The radio signal isn't working. But then when we get all the way down to the bottom, we try it one more time. Now we're on the surface. Reach out to Chief, and Chief responds. He's finally like, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?"
I was quite surprised by that because I didn't think he would respond at all. I kind of thought this was something Cortana would have had locked down. So I was surprised that they were able to actually talk to each other at all.
Yeah, it's never super clear. Like we'll find out more about Cortana and all that sort of stuff. We've seen how powerful she is with, she's able to raise these guardians, and, she has all this, she's in the domain, and has this far widespread reach of technology, but there seems to be a couple limitations here and there that either she's allowing to happen or she doesn't, have complete control of everything. So that is interesting. It just shows you how big of a threat she has become. But we'll learn more about what's to come here coming up pretty soon. So Locke says, "Hey, Cortana's not that great right now. She's a little wonky." And John confirms that. He's like, "Yeah, I know something's up. So we need to be careful around her." And now the plan is essentially for Fireteam Osiris to then connect with Blue Team. John, I don't think, is waiting for them. I don't think Blue Team's waiting for them. They're doing their own thing, but they're aware that Fireteam Osiris is on Genesis now. You make it a little bit further, just kind of up through the next waypoint here, and now we meet Exuberant Witness.
Yay!
Such a nice lady.
She's so sweet.
Krysta,
I
you wanna
love
talk about her?
monitors. They're great.
She looks like a I mean, are all the monitors? They kind of look the same. They just have maybe a different little light bulb.
Yeah, it's just the color.
eyeball.
Everything else is the same.
Yeah. And do you know any background about Exuberant off the top of your head? She sounds like she's been on Genesis for a long time.
She's pretty much just the caretaker of Genesis. I don't think we know anything specific on her because she was just created for this game. She's not in any extended lore yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a big spoiler or anything like that because we're close to the end. But Genesis, my understanding of Genesis itself is, and I think we can talk about this now, is that it was the planet that helped construct Shield Worlds. Is that right? Is that how you guys have understood Genesis?
I can't think so. Is it a Shield World thingy?
I thought it was a domain thing.
I was doing a little research, and it sounds like because there's the Halo rings idea of the builder, master builder, and librarian, and then there was the Shield World idea for Didact and
Genesis, also known as Nomos 2, is a Forerunner world, the second planet in the Nomos system, artificially constructed by the builders. It housed a secret gateway into the domain and regularly produced seed worlds under the direction of its Monitor 031 Exuberant Witness.
Okay, so seed worlds, not shield worlds.
Yes.
So I misunderstood that. Okay. So what's a seed world then?
That's an interesting... I imagine it's probably seed world. It sounds like something that you would use to create life.
Yeah, that makes sense. With like the reseeding of the galaxy.
That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. It's but it has a secret gateway into the domain. Interesting. So I wonder if that means you can physically get into the domain.
Maybe.
Oh, interesting.
Seed worlds are artificial planets used to house civilizations to ensure their continued existence. So these are probably worlds immune to the Halo array.
Halo, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the flood infection or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think the production ceased to exist, or there was no need for it after the Halos fired. And so she's just been hanging out for a while. But it's interesting to think about like how, monitors are on all the Halo rings, and we had all that background with 343 Guilty Spark on how he was kind of going nutso on Installation 04. She seems okay. I mean, she's a little off maybe, but she seems all right. This might be
why. So it says, with the Halos firing, Exuberant Witness was given charge of the entire installation, and she halted Genesis's normal production of seed worlds. Genesis entered a dormant state, and very little happened on the world in the following 100,000 years. So she probably went dormant, as opposed to like Guilty Spark, who stayed awake, running experiments and going mad. Yeah.
That's a good point. Very interesting. She's got a fun little personality. Krysta, you want to talk about her anymore? About like
she's very sarcastic and sweet, but also she doesn't really have any social skills. Yeah. She just kind of says things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's pretty.
No filter.
Yeah, she's a good character. She's a fun personality to meet. It's kind of too bad that we met this personality so late in the game, but it is refreshing at this point of the game as well.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see her again, in other games or something like that. We don't really know, but...
So they have a quick conversation about Cortana, and she's aware of Cortana and her plans to take over the mantle. One of her lines here that's interesting, as she's just talking about the mantle, she says, "It's a forced peace amongst the galaxy, the threat of death overpowering any celebration of life."
Interesting. Pretty much spelling it out, Cortana's rule equal bad rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we've talked about in the past, this Imperial rule, step out of line and you're gonzo.
But Locke has no idea what's going on, so they needed to explain it to him somehow.
Yeah, because they haven't been exposed to this at all yet. They probably have some idea about the mantle just from, Halo 4, because that was a big part of that, and I'm sure that was part of the, Oni debriefing, all that sort of stuff. But he doesn't know what Genesis is, or Fireteam Osiris doesn't, and he doesn't really know they don't know the plan at all. Because really, we, as Fireteam Osiris, we knew Cortana was around, but we didn't exactly know what her plan was. We just kind of know, ooh, this is a little freaky because she was dead. But now it's just being laid out a little bit more to us. Exuberant Witness did capture or find a scorpion, which was very nice of her.
Just out of nowhere. She's like, oh, here, I found it among the rubbish. You're like, okay, thank you.
Well, she found it on another Guardian, is what she says.
Yeah, when the Guardians come through, something you'll notice, like, especially when we slip-spaced into the original Guardian at the beginning of this mission, there were, like, wraiths and ghosts falling off of it and around you and stuff like that. Just stuff got...
That's a cool point. That was cool, yeah.
Yeah. It's just stuff that got caught in the slip-space portal, which is very big.
And this is our first UNSC branded Scorpion, because we've had the other one that was the corporate one, and now we have our proper green Scorpion, which is beautiful and lovely, and I love it. Any thoughts? I mean, we're just kind of heading down this path right away, and there's a little bridge to go down, and a bunch of Covenant are around. You see another Guardian pop in. So, we've seen, we're familiar with Genesis, and because of the Blue Team, or the mission where Blue Team was on it, but now, we're getting our feet wet as Fireteam Osiris. Any thoughts on this initial, barrage, or this initial fight down lower where we have to finally get off and some interesting other things happen? David, how does it feel to be back in the Scorpion?
Seems pretty good. I like this mission. It's got a lot of UNSC weapons and vehicles scattered around it, a lot of special weapons. It's pretty cool. I do like the initial exchange, and the dialogue Exuberant Witness gives you throughout the mission is excellent. So I like just the flair and the flavor of this mission. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Krysta, any other thoughts? So you're driving, you have to be driving the Scorpion. Did your buddies, get in the Ghosts or any of the other vehicles, or were they just kind of following you around on foot?
I direct them into the Wraith, and stuff like that.
I actually switched out into the Wraith and was trying to keep my guys in the Scorpion, but they kept getting out.
Oh, okay.
It was very confusing. I'm like, why are they
weird.
doing that? Because it's a Wraith Ultra. So you get you get more of a spread on the plasma bolts. They kind of break up into little smaller ones. You can kind of get a lot of good damage in there with it.
And then it's fun to destroy. There's lots of knights here in this initial area, so it's fun to just destroy them with one shot.
Oh yeah,
if you're hitting them from the side. Yeah.
And I always I try to sick my team on stuff, and sometimes it works out well, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, as it does in general in Halo 5. I feel like towards the end of the game it's gotten better, but you don't pick up the Wraith until you go through this initial door area.
Yeah.
So you kind of go down low, and then the big Forerunner door exposes itself, and then that's where that Wraith is. So you take it down there, then hop into the Wraith.
Yeah, it's over to the right. Once you go through that door, it's on the right. It's just unmanned and sitting there. And always
just hanging out.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, thank you. This is what I wanted. Perfect.
Perfect. That's what I wanted for my birthday.
I also like the 3-way battle going on in these big set pieces. The Covenant are fighting the Prometheans. Mm-hmm. Prometheans are fighting the Covenant, and you're just kind of there, just cleaning up after them, which is kind of nice. And
that's a classic Halo trope. We're used to seeing that, and especially in the late game where we're just part of the fight. But it's fun. It's fun to see. A couple of little pieces of dialogue here, relating to Exuberant and her awareness of Cortana and whatnot. She says, "Why has she called so many? A single Guardian can effectively police a solar system. This show of force is unsettling." And Vale says, "I'm sorry, police? Show of force?" Exuberant says, "Indeed, Guardians are how the Forerunners enforced peace on lower systems." And then she says, "As you can see, Genesis defenses are targeting the invaders. Unfortunately, the defenses will also consider you invaders as well." And so talking about that 3-way fight there. Then Locke chimes in and says, "It's your installation. Can't you tell them to let us through?" And then Exuberant says, "No, between Warden and Cortana, most of my administration privileges have been revoked. But worry not, I still have control of some aspects of the facility." So they kind of explain a little bit. Kind of my question I posed at the beginning of the episode is she still can do a couple things, but really Warden and Cortana have control of most of everything on the planet.
Which, I mean, fine. I mean, they're crazy AIs, so you might... She doesn't really have a chance against them. Monitors are smart, but not, like, crazy smart.
Yeah, they're resourceful.
Monitors are there to just kind of keep the peace, but something can easily overpower them in a system if need be.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Guilty Spark gave Cortana a run for his money in Halo CE.
Not really.
A lot of
Cortana gave Guilty Spark. She took the installation from him, like, completely.
Yeah, I don't know if he took it from him, because he was still accessing everything on Halo. She prevented some things, but, like,
she stole the index.
When he got into, but when he got into, the Pillar of Autumn, he stopped the timer and all that kind of stuff, so that's why he had to manually blow stuff up.
But Cortana, was Cortana in the Pillar of Autumn at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, remember when you go to the bridge and you activate it?
I thought he took her back after that, though, because she just sets the timer for the stuff to blow, and then you put her back in your head, and then you start going.
And then he stops it then, because he hijacks you.
Oh,
he stops the timer. And then, like, presumably you could just turn around and put her back in, and then start it, but, like, obviously she's just like, no, we're not doing this, we're blowing it up the old-fashioned way. I don't know, I just think there are by no means, I think Cortana now is probably different than Cortana back then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, now there's two AIs, too. I mean, the Warden is an AI as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Oh, isn't it interesting? There's this mission. Yeah, there's this mission. You'll probably get to it later. Where you're like, hey, he's a stupid robot. And the woman's like, oh, he's not a robot.
Yeah, she's like, I thought you understood that.
Yeah.
This next area is pretty fun in general. So you go through that door that we were talking about, and then hop in the Wraith if you want, or direct your teammates into that. Then once you make it through there, then you have a bunch of the kind of the turrets, the Forerunner turrets that are firing at you. You have a Wraith to deal with, lots of vehicles, lots of Prometheans in general. There's some Phaetons up above, so it's a good chaotic area, I think. Lots of fun, especially to have something as powerful as the Scorpion here. I think doing on this on foot would be ridiculous.
I wish you could hijack the Phaeton. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's there, and you're like,
I want that. How would you have done it, though? Would you have somehow like gotten high enough? Or maybe hijack a Banshee and then get into it? Oh, yeah, I guess.
The plasma pistol.
That makes sense.
Easy.
I don't think the plasma pistol disables Phaetons. I've never seen it happen. Does it happen in multiplayer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's a plasma pistol. It disables everything.
Yeah,
so it's a good area. It's a fun area. Did you make it all the way to the bottom where you have to get out, David, or do you switch vehicles at all?
I made it to the end with my tank. It was on fire. I died a few times. There's a few Prometheans that teleport in with like incinerate cannons and stuff like that. And
they just like
unawares. Yeah.
Especially in the Scorpion, it's really hard to avoid them, even though they're super slow moving. Because they kind of track a little bit. Yeah,
it is difficult. Once they shoot, you there's very little you can do. So I only kind of managed to do it by like preempting their spawning and shooting right as they kind of come in. And the first one will stagger them, and the second one then will kill them. And then I did a lot of Scorpion sniping through this mission because by the time you get to like the area with the bridge and there's Phaetons and pretty much what we're talking about now, I was on fire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I tried to get out. I think my Scorpion this run it didn't do so hot. It took too many incineration cannons, so I hopped out and then went and hijacked the Wraith because like Buck was driving the Wraith at that point. So I went over and grabbed that from him and then took that the rest of the way down, which is always a fun option. But yeah, it's pretty chaotic. So take your time. You're going to be frustrated if you're going to try to just drive through everything because there's enough, fire around you, enemy fire, that they're going to take you out. One other line of dialogue here I just wanted to mention, because when you do pop through this area through the doors, you can see the gateway. This is that building that, it's kind of a weird,
it's like a circle
nondescript building. Yeah.
It's a big circle Forerunner building.
Mm-hmm. It kind of looks like just a background building that you would see in a multiplayer map, but here it is. It's very, that is the gateway. So it has that circular top on top. Tanaka asks if that's the gateway. Exuberant says she asks, what is the gateway? And then Exuberant lays it out. She says, it is a bridge between the domain and Genesis. Within that building, Cortana will be reborn onto the physical world. Interesting.
Yep.
Hot diggity.
I don't think that's brand new information. I don't think that's been, because in the Blue Team missions, Cortana's like, yeah, let's meet face to face. Come on, keep coming. I need you at the gateway. So this is brand new information. Some crazy shit potentially could happen here coming up.
So make your AIs into real boys.
Pretty much. I mean,
which isn't like, I mean, the way that she's describing it here is it's different from an AI overtaking like what Warden is doing, right? Warden is popping in and out of bodies, but the way that she's describing it here, it sounds like something different.
It sounds kind of like the opposite of the Composer, where it turns something digital, physical digital, and then the foreigners couldn't figure out how to undo that or do the reverse it. So it sounds like this is allowing something that's originally digital to become physical, which is kind of cool.
That's very interesting, right? All right, so we just hang out here for a hot second, and then Exuberant will create a light bridge for us. You can actually hop out. There's a little exploring you can do around here. But, we recommend staying in the tank, just going across. But then we have Warden fight number 4 of the game.
This one's easy. You just blow him up with the tank and he dies.
Yep, it's pretty simple. He takes a couple shots with that main turret, main cannon of the Scorpion. Or, I guess, I haven't really fought him. Krysta, did you fight him with the Wraith?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Like 3 or 4 hits, maybe. Not bad.
Wasn't too bad. He didn't like dodge you, or
no, he just
really
like sits there in one spot and doesn't do anything. Maybe it's because I stand really far back or something, but he just never really does anything in this one. He just kind of stands there and lets me murder him, which I appreciate. Actually, I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, that's very nice of him.
There's
a couple turrets that pop up too, so you got to deal with those a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
I just sick my team on those.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But this is the point, so I mean, it's nothing special. We've fought Ward before. This is a simple fight, so we won't dwell on this one too much. But it's just like, oh, this guy again. All right, here we go. Deal with him quickly, and then you have to get out of the vehicle and climb these rocks to then proceed onto this next area. You will see a Crash Pelican off to the left and a bunch of UNSC weapons, so grab what you want. There is a, what is there? There's a saw down there.
Excuse me, that is not a saw.
Oh.
What is wrong with you?
What? Oh, which one? Is
it's
it the fancy
answer.
saw? What is it?
The answer.
It's the
That's
answer.
What is the answer?
There's 2 of them, too.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's amazing.
So tell me about the answer.
The answer is a saw with explosive ammunition.
Yep.
And it's as beautiful as you think it is.
It just
So
wrecks
when
shop.
it hits...
Like, it's just the win button.
Yeah. So plenty of ammo in the answer, so grab that. And then there's a railgun as well.
No one's picking up anything but the answer.
I picked up the railgun for the Warden fight.
Hell no.
I tell my team to pick up the railguns, but I rarely do. Because the answer
you pick up the answer, yeah? I take
Colin,
the extra
Halo
ammo
5
and then
wrong
make
if you're
one of
not
my
picking
teammates pick up the spare answer, so I got 2 of them.
Oh, you do? Nice. There is so before we go on, so you can grab some stuff here. You don't have to proceed. Before you get up into this next area, which is right at the gateway, there you need to go grab the tilt skull. And so you need to head up this hill off onto the side, do a little bit of climbing, and then there will be a dead Marine and a sniper rifle, and then there'll be a killed hunter and elite kind of in this area, and the tilt skull will be right up in there. So grab that. Do you guys remember what the tilt skull is? I forgot to look that up.
I think it inverts the strengths and weaknesses. So it makes, if you're weak against one thing, now you're strong against it, and it does the opposite.
Okay.
I think that's what tilt does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right. So grab that quick, then come back down, and then we're at the base of the gateway, and now we have Warden fight number 5.
Hooray.
And this time we're not fighting one Warden, we are fighting 2 Wardens.
What?
Boo, stupid wardens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this is kind of the point where Exuberant Witness says something about the Warden not being a robot.
It's at the very... It's once you kill him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, just more insight, more puzzling language and trying to figure out what's really going on here. But talk about this fight here, David. What's your approach in this last little area here?
This was kind of tough enough, especially on the harder difficulties. There's a lot of ads running around, a lot of crawlers.
Yeah, there are a lot.
So pretty much you really should equip your team with heavy weapons. You should be coming in here. Like, I had the answer and a rocket launcher at this fight, so I learned fast that the Warden will just bounce those rockets away. If he's not,
he does.
Yeah, if he's not like kneeling because he's healing or doing something, you can't hit him with the rocket launcher. He just bats them away, and even in some cases shoots them back at you, which I was not prepared for. So he caught me once or twice with that. I learned quick to either shoot at his feet or take out the answer and then just win.
The answer just murders. Like, this fight is so easy with the answer, it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But you have to be close enough, right, for it to be effective?
The answer's a long range weapon, kind of medium to long.
Saul's pretty effective here. I generally focus on one and send my team to the other. Is kind of what I do, because he will attack your team and ignore you. If you split them apart. So this area is
He'll hang back for a while, right? And then once it's either long enough or something happens, then he'll start to charge.
He's got some good long range.
I always clear out I stay towards the beginning of this encounter, and I just take out all the ads and have my team distract him while I do that, and then I just focus on one with my team and then focus on the other with my team. But I'm also using the answer, so instant win.
What are you using for the gravity bombs? And can you destroy those gravity bombs as they're coming towards you?
No, all you gotta do is you just gotta dodge them. Like, you can hear them. Yeah. You can hear them coming towards you. So all you gotta do is just hide behind something. And if you're far enough away from him, it's not super difficult. Or you just sidestep them.
Yeah, there's enough environment, there's little kind of shields that pop up for you to hide behind that it'll blow up in front of you. I think what I do is I run way up and take one on the left. I think I usually go on the left, and I go up pretty close to him. I cleared a couple ads right away, but those knights can be a big pain, and they're super annoying, especially if I'm trying to do some close combat. But I try to get up in there and do a little hand-to-hand with them. But you can't get too close because those gravity bombs will take you out. But what you can do, the ramps go up kind of on the sides, and I can usually just pot shot him from the kind of where the ramp ends. And if he fires a gravity bomb, I can just duck down below and it'll explode before it kind of goes down at the bend. So I can usually take out one from a distance. And then from there, for me, it's just clearing out the ads and then hunting down the other one. And there's some turrets to deal with and things like that as well. But I think I'm not an answer expert, because you guys are all about that.
Oh my god, replay that mission with the 2 wardens and just hit him with the answer in the head and the back, and it takes maybe 1 clip to kill him.
I think I was using some railgun shots, and that felt good for me to hit him with that. It makes pretty quick work, but yeah, I'm sure the answer is a better way to do it.
The best is when you get it in multiplayer in Fiesta, and then you just murder everyone. It's great. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
All right. It's a cool area. Do you guys want to talk about the environment or the map here at all? I like how it's set up, right? It's kind of set up for like fighting 2 wardens, right? Because one's way in the corner on the left, one's way in the corner on the right. There's this big area in the middle to wander around.
And if you don't,
I don't feel like I use it the whole thing that much, but it's at least interesting.
And if you don't instigate them, they kind of stay in their little area as well. They don't really wander out from their 2 corners, like
the wardens.
Yeah, they're not going to be charging you at the same time, kind of thing. There's a lot of stuff to hide in, the kind of middle ground area, and then the 2 kind of side areas. There's a lot of verticality as well.
Yeah.
And if you're
Mhm.
really
Less things to climb.
hurting on ammo after that huge ammo drop you got from the UNSC, there's a bunch here.
Yeah. Yep. There's plenty around. I do like. I think it must be if you kill one of them, the other one starts to charge you.
Yes.
It won't just set back. But for the most part, they do hang back there. So yeah, have some fun in this area and be creative. It shouldn't be too. I feel like on Legendary, it was difficult but not overwhelming. You know, like I don't think I beat my head against the wall too much on this area. You just have to be smart about clearing out the ads before you go and approach them. All right, so now we've defeated the ward. So technically, let's see here. So it's Warden fight number 5, but it's the 6th. We've defeated 6 wardens.
Yes.
Does that sound right? We haven't fought 2 before, right?
No.
This is the only
this
2
is
fight.
The first one. Yeah.
Jeez. Mm-hmm. And we've already mentioned like the warden's got millions of bodies, so that's how 343 is figured out. Like they're making sense of like, okay, you're fighting the same guy, over and over again because he has the same bodies. The one thing that gets frustrating and gets monotonous is that these fights are pretty much the same, and you're fighting them in Warzone also if you're playing some Warzone, but then throughout the campaign you're like, oh cool, boss, and then you're like, okay, this guy again, and you're like, wait, okay, he's doing the exact same tactics. I would have liked it would have just been more interesting if he had at this stage of the game he had introduced some new fighting tactic that we haven't seen before.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
He just kind of does this. Instead of like changing up his tactics, they just put another one in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay.
Which is interesting, I guess, and it fits with the lore. But you would think maybe they could explain that away, like, oh, once there's 2 wardens, then they can like shield each other, or one is the close combat warden and he's charging you all the time. The other one's the distance one that's sniping you. Something just to make it a little bit more interesting. I don't necessarily mind because and we play video games. We fight the same bosses over and over and over again. They just needed to change it up a little bit. What if they like combined into like a giant warden? Something. Oh
my god, Transformer
like
warden.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that some Forerunner architecture does like mold together and stuff with the Sentinels on Onyx. So
yeah. Or maybe like he like rips one of the turrets off and like puts it on his shoulder, and then he grabs one of the crawlers and like is using that. I don't know. They could have done some things.
He's right? A mounted warden. He mounts on a giant crawler.
Oh, that would have been amazing. I love that. So many options, but alas, 2 wardens. Here you go. All right, let's talk about we head up. As you mentioned, Krysta, Exuberant just says, that's not a robot. And then we go up into the gateway. And now what's this final cutscene here?
So the final cutscene is the Osiris team catch up with Blue Team. So they run, they're all on a kind of like a landing pad. So Blue Team kind of whip their weapon rounds. There's a bit of a standoff. Locke is trying to explain that he's here to help against Cortana. Chief knows that she's dangerous. He knows that it's not good. He says, you don't have to do this alone. We're here to help you.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting like initial like encounter, right? Because the fire team was just sprinting towards them, and Blue Team still kind of, they must have just recently gotten to the gateway or still figuring out what's going on. It seems like they're creeping around, and then they draw their weapons, because last time it was a fight, right?
Yeah,
so it's a little startling, even though they have made contact already.
Exactly, it's very different this time. Well, Blue Team have their guns up, so I think they're ready. They already see them as an enemy, like they're offensive against them. Cortana cuts in and goes, "You're too late to do anything." And it's a big ominous blue light. Mm-hmm. And she pretty much just steals Blue Team. And kind of just teleports them out. So Chief just says, "Cortana, no!" And you have the lovely little teleportation as... Why she doesn't do anything to Osiris, I don't know. She obviously has the power here.
Well, she doesn't... I don't think she cares about Osiris at all.
Yeah. Exuberant Witness says, "This is crazy. She shouldn't have done that. This will push the Warden past all restraint." But that, I think she means by bringing Blue Team to her, the Warden is like, hell no, he's actively trying to prevent. He knows what John is trying to do and to stop Cortana, so he's trying to stop John from stopping Cortana, even though Cortana is under the impression that she can control him. So does the next part of this take place straight away? Does that start the next mission? No,
okay. It's the next mission. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And there we go, end of the mission.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting if Cortana has, there was that one, was it Dominion Splinter or Splinter Dominion, whatever it was called, the comic book with that Frank wrote, where it talks about her overtaking and taming maybe the Warden, or helping the Warden understand, okay, now it's the mantle is my thing, and she talks about the created in that as well. But somewhere along the lines, there is this disagreement, this strong disagreement, where like he's the guardian of the domain and he is the protector. He stands in protection of Cortana, but they still don't see eye to eye completely. She doesn't have like complete control of him. He's still his own unique, his own entity. All right, let's do any other trivia that we could talk about, and then we'll get into some of the intel.
There is actually a good bit for this mission. Some of it I've kind of already touched upon, so of these I'll skip. So I will say one of the achievements in this that I like, if you manage to keep the Scorpion alive until you first get to the encounter, or the Warden encounter on Legendary, you get the tank still beats everything achievement. So I kind of
Nice.
like that. Just what it's called like that. That's a good callback. As Krysta also says, you can get a rate ultra, which is pretty cool. The Light of Ur's fuel rod cannon can be found on the ledge after the first bridge by a dead grunt with the mission intel. I totally forgot about that. So that's an awesome fuel rod cannon. The Spitfire is also here. It's a plasma pistol. It can be found on the ledge nearby a terminal with the mission intel after the vacant Wraith and the first crashed Pelican. Also forgot about this. Spitfire is actually really cool. I've used it in online and on Warzone a few times.
What does it do?
I think it's a much faster firing plasma pistol.
Okay.
It's pretty cool and stronger. Two, the answer weapons, like we said, so can be found before the Warden fight. On Legendary, I looked. Don't know if this is true. So take this one with a grain
I
of
looked it
salt,
up.
guys.
No, I saw somebody do it. I saw
It's
Green
true?
Skull do it. Yeah.
All right, okay. This is mental. On Legendary, difficulty only. Near the gateway is a closed door that features the corpse of a Promethean crawler. If the player teabags it 117 times, Exuberant Witness will be able to shoot high damaging Gauss beams, granting her the ability to directly fight. Note that the crawler must be teabagged in the place where it is originally spawned, and that the crawler must stay in the same place in order for the Easter egg to work.
That's
That last
weird.
bit wasn't right.
Wasn't right, wasn't it?
Bizarre. No, so I saw there's a video where Green Skull does it with some buddies, and so where you start doing your teabag, if you teabag right on top of the crawler, it has physics, so it'll kind of bounce away, so you can't move, but you just have to keep squatting in that one spot, and then after you hit 117, then you hear a grunt birthday party cheer, and then at that point, when you get down to the Warden fight, then she does indeed. She has a laser beam that she fires and helps with the fight.
I wish I would have known that on my
is
Legendary
madness.
solo run.
Well, the video that he posted was, I think it was 2016, maybe 2017. So it was a little bit after Halo 5 came out. And the way he talks about it is, hey, this is something that nobody had found yet. So maybe 343 put it in there, and when nobody found it, they told some content creators, it's like, hey, here's a fun thing that you can go make a video on.
Yeah, I could see them doing that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else was I going to say? Blah 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 blah. Quickly. Read really fast and entertaining. So, apparently, if you dash to the spot where Exuberant Witness teleports into Scorpion, they will find the Scorpion is already there, but it's invisible. So that's kind of weird.
Ah.
So it doesn't actually
like you
teleport
run
in.
into
It's it's actually there. It's kind of weird.
She uncloaks it.
Yeah. Apparently, it is possible through careful maneuvering to get vehicles into the second Warden boss fight, including the Wraith or the Scorpion. Allies will pilot them if brought to the encounter, which I thought was crazy. I love it the way people just try and get vehicles everywhere in these games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not? They
What
win.
else would I say? It kind of makes sense, yeah. That should any player lose your health during the run down the Guardian, instead of being revivable, you immediately die, which kind of makes sense. All enemy Phaetons can be disabled by an EMP blast, but none can be hijacked. So you were kind of right there, Chris. I didn't realize that. Exuberant Witness is invincible and has no other weapons, but apparently she can catch and deflect grenades and other small explosive projectiles thrown by enemies, much like a Watcher. So I
Oh.
never noticed that before.
I never
but that's
noticed
kinda
that
cool.
either.
Yeah, you don't really notice her in that fight. She's just kind of floating around.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep an eye on her when you're fighting both wardens.
And the very last one is kind of cool. It's not really a piece of trivia, but I liked it. The checkpoint name "Call Me Cupid" is a reference to Halo 2 level Metropolis, during which Sergeant Johnson brings a tank while declaring, "If God is love, then you can call me Cupid." So I love all the callbacks to the different games, even if they're just like checkpoint names and stuff like that. Halo's always had kind of cool levels and checkpoint names.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, let's do some intel.
All right, let's do some intel. We have 10 pieces of intel. Most of them are actually...
Oh, boy.
Most of them are actually kind of short. Some of them are a little longer. So, the first one is called Forerunner Record Echoes 1 out of 3. Where am I? Is this the domain? And that's it. That's all it is.
Oh.
The second one, Forerunner Echoes 2 out of 3. Designation Genesis. How? Where is Bastion? So this is the Bastion guy.
Oh, Bastion story. Okay, all right.
The next one is Forerunner Record Echo 3 out of 3. Communications few. Constructor network picking up echoes. Confusing. And I guess that's it for him.
Okay.
The next one is Forerunner Record Threat 1 out of 5. Organon gone. Domain burned. Damaged. So many lost. Missing. Okay. The next one is Ungoy Personal Log 11. Oh, good. So I've been thinking, if this place is supposed to be all perfect and made for us, how come nothing looks right? Where's the salty bogs, huh? Where are the methane springs? I mean, we can't even breathe over here. Not even the elites like it. I mean, who was this paradise made for, huh? I have no clue. So he's pissed.
Can you go back to the previous one? Would that have been the Halo had been fired?
Organon gone, domain burned, damaged. Yeah, probably. So many lost, missing. Yeah, that's probably, because the domain was, severely damaged during the firing of the Halos. So that's probably what it is.
Right. But whoever this person is, maybe somehow missed that? Okay, keep going.
Maybe, or maybe he was in transit or something like that. We don't know where Genesis is,
AI.
so... Yeah, or he's an AI. It just says Forerunner Record, so it could just be one of the AIs or something like that. Catalogs or something. Alright, the next one is UNSC Intel 1 out of 3. Marine Selena Rodin here. Our last known location was circling the Guardian at Samuron. Samuron. There was some sequence of shockwaves, and then we were here, wherever here is. Our Pelican slip-spaced in and came under immediate fire. Not many survivors. We'll have to find shelter and gather some supplies from the wreckage. This is a nightmare. Over. The next one is UNSC Intel 2 out of 3. Marine Kulas reporting in. So far, all we know about this planet is that it has hostiles. We've spotted the Covenant. They probably got pulled in along with us accidentally. We're holed up and maintaining a defense perimeter, but the Covies got aggressive and they're very confused as well. And we're all low on ammo. I don't know how long we can hold on. So, not looking good for the UNSC, huh? The next one is UNSC Intel 3 out of 3. Renee Decaz reporting again. Just had to change location. Those robot things came after us hard. We went through the hills and could see Covenant ships getting slip-spaced in and crashing all over the place. For now, we're bunkered in some structure. It started moving a little while ago. I don't know why. Don't know if we'd be safer nearby or we should get away from it. Don't know much. Over. So. They're not having a good time, honestly. Sangheili Personal Log 839. The Guardians sounded their mighty call, and tore the tore the stars apart. They brought us here. The ships of believers and heretics alike were flung to the fertile ground, where the survivors engage in a glorious slaughter. Yes, to die here. In the home of the gods is the highest honor. I cannot wait. So, very elite of him. All right. And this last one is our friend, Kit Pitlimp. His adventure log 4 out of 4.
Oh boy.
I knew it! Kit Pitlimp has always been bound for destiny. I speak as one who has undergone the great journey, and now I will talk to the gods. I will be a god. I will... What is that creature? If you are a god, I worship you. Otherwise, worship me! Wait! No! So...
Oh no!
This is the corpse that the Light of Urs can be found next to.
Oh,
Rip.
Rip.
Our
The
favorite
fuel rod.
explorer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, buddy. That's sad.
Yeah.
He was so
I
fun.
know. No more adventure logs, unfortunately.
Once again, 343 killing off all the best characters.
I know,
Oh, wait,
right?
No, that was Bungie.
Oh, whatever. All right, that's all I got, guys.
Cool. All right, let's do some community.
The communities.
What do we have on Facebook?
We have a nice little poll placed by Mr. Colin Perkins.
Oh,
That's
I
me.
know him.
We all know him?
Yeah.
You know him, exactly. Who is the best new character in Halo 5 Guardians? Question mission debrief Halo 5 Genesis mission. We have some cool options here. There is only one correct answer by a landslide. We have Exuberant Witness gets 15 votes.
Woo!
Olympia Vale gets 9. Maki Chava gets 2. Tanaka got 1. Warden Eternal got 1. Nobody liked Spartan Locke or Governor Sloan. I know. That's pretty interesting. Comments. Warden Eternal by Patrick, because we would all like a repetitive boss fight that only gets harder and more frustrating. Extreme sarcasm. So, Vale actually brings something to the table, being an expert in Sangheili. I like her a lot for that reason too. That's what Lance says. Brad says he voted for McKee. I think she has potential to be a very interesting character. Not only is she the first female elite introduced into the games, she also serves in the military, something unheard of in Sangheili culture. It is interesting to see if she is a rarity or starts a societal or cultural change for the Sangheili. I agree, she is very important, and we've said that numerous times. In this season, it's a shame that she hasn't appeared yet. Manny says, voted Tanaka. She has far more similar story to the Spartan 3 program, and the rest of the team were soldiers prior to joining Osiris. Vale is a close second to me. Her story is cool, but Tanaka is closer to Spartan stratagem, making her a truer Spartan than the rest. Jesse White just says Spartan Locke and a bunch of laughs and a hashtag no. Tim says Vale, but only because of the book, nothing to do with the game. I agree, she's way more interesting in
Hunters in the Dark.
Hunters in the Dark. Exuberant Witness is a fine character. She's just in the wrong game. Ooh. And Gwen says, Vale is great. I'm glad we finally have a Sangheili expert. Tanaka I love. I just wish she wasn't so unbelievably underutilized. I had to choose Exuberant Witness every time she's on screen or in game. I just can't help but smile. Also, she was a genuine surprise, something I've learned to heavily appreciate. I agree with you, Gwen. Chris says 031, as she seemed a 2-bit more than just float and splutter. That's pretty funny. Good quote, Chris. And our kind of last couple of comments is from Randy. Randy says, Exuberant Witness, he is the most personality, she. Vale and Tanaka are cool in the other material, but fall flat in the games. Tanaka's speech to Osiris in the cutscene is quite cringeworthy, in my opinion. There we go, guys.
Cool.
All right, so...
What does Discord have to say?
Yep, same thing in the Discord. So... Oh, 1 second. Someone posted and I accidentally just totally threw off my thing. I'm a failure. There we
goodness.
go. I know, right?
Stupid
People
Discord.
posting in the Discord. How could they? Alright, let's see. So, of course, our good friend, Exuberant Witness, is winning by 10 votes. Surprisingly, Governor Sloan has 8 votes and is in second place.
Oh, people like him on Discord. Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the extended lore?
For Sloan?
Sloan?
Yeah.
Does he appear much in Extended Lore?
Isn't he in, isn't he mentioned in...
Kelly Gay books?
Yeah, in not the Kelly Gay books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Kelly Gay books. And I think the Troy Denning books, isn't he talked about in...
Yeah, he does have a couple
Last
drops,
Light.
you're right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's that, because he kind of, like, since they introduced him, he's been popping up all over the place in extended lore.
Yep, I think Troy Denning grabbed onto him too. You're right.
So the next one is Spartan Olympia Vale with 5 votes. Warden Eternal with 4 votes. Interesting. Locke has 3 votes. And then...
Huh?
Yeah, Locke has 3 votes. And then in tied for last place is Maki Chava and Spartan Tanaka. So...
Oh, very different kind of distribution there.
Yeah. With Sloan being so high, that's interesting.
Ian says Sloan mostly due to his fleshing out and retribution. So there's that.
There it is.
UNSC Brexit says Warden because who wants an unkillable boss even though you kill him 500 times if you count Warzone. Perfect. Matt says Sloan works great as an initially faceless ally.
Interesting. He's kind of an ally. Yeah.
At the beginning, yeah.
He's reluctant. A reluctant ally.
Avery Johnson says, I'm gonna vote Vale. I like the Sangheli language and the culture she knew. It provided depth and more info on the missions in Sanghelios. Also, I love her armor. She does have very cool armor. Is there an option? Blue Calyx says, is there an option for none of these characters meant a damn thing to me because I haven't read a book? I'm going to have to go for Exuberant Witness because at least she said some interesting things. Everyone else was one-dimensional and could possibly be anyone with no introduction or fleshing out. So if you don't know who they are, it's a little weird. And then finally, Dezuto says Locke is a chode. That's it.
Chode, oh no.
And there we go.
Nice.
Good job. Good job, guys.
What do you guys think? Who's your favorite new character, David?
I went for Exuberant because I was kind of basing it more on the game. I know that I think it's fair enough to include the lore, and I think you probably should. When you really kind of, if you're asking the new character, because they really get fleshed out in the lore, and in the extended lore, I should say. I've always liked Vale. I like the idea of her. That type of character being a Spartan. Like a linguistic, an alien kind of expert. That is kind of cool. You'd want them to be characters like that, especially with like the Arbiter's forces towards Sanghelio kind of working so much with humanity now. It makes sense to have soldiers that are like-minded in that way. Tanaka's like backstory is really cool. Like I do like her origins, that she was a glass planet survivor, and like how that kind of played out was really cool. What makes her strong doesn't come through in the game at all. Like I said, she's totally underused in this game. I think we kind of mocked some of the kind of earlier things. It was like where she just tells you to open a button. It's like Locke says, "Oh, figure out how to use this thing." And it's like, "Yeah, push this button." Great,
right? Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Expert. And then obviously, Buck doesn't count, but he would win because he's so handsome.
Of course, Nathan Fillion is very handsome in this game.
He is very handsome. We talked a lot about McKee, the kind of like silent winner here. I think there's so much that can be done there. There just really wasn't, and maybe she wasn't supposed to be that big. But she seems kind of throwaway for someone who pops up twice in kind of interesting moments.
I think she wins for the most potential for future games.
Yeah, definitely. But Exuberant Witness is great for all the reasons we mentioned before. She's good fun. She's kind of a chirpy, happy modder, which we kind of really haven't seen. And I don't know, I like her. She's cool.
Chris, any other thoughts?
I kind of agree with David in the fact that if we're basing it just on what is presented to us in the game, like Exuberant Witness wins by a landslide. Once you start adding in like all the extended lore and stuff like that, a lot of characters get a lot more interesting. Like Vale Tanaka and Governor Sloan, who is like Governor Sloan's an interesting character because when you play the game, he's kind of just throwaway. It's like, oh, he's just some dude. And then you start reading the extended lore and he becomes very fleshed out and very interesting. So I think he's kind of a standout in that regard. But
yep.
Always want to see more lady elites. So I was very pleasantly surprised when I loaded up that mission the first time in Halo and heard a lady elite. But yeah, Exuberant would have to win for me just because she's funny and interesting.
I think I'm a Veil guy. I like her, like the nerdy Spartan.
You're
right?
also
You're also
a Palmer guy too. So I mean,
yeah. Am I just like a lady Spartan guy?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I
what
think
so. I guess I do like I like Tanaka as well. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But yeah, I think the fact that she can speak Sangheili and she can be helpful on that side of things. But and she exposes who she is or kind of talks about that in the opening mission, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then she does have the book as well. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I think we're done. I think we are done. What are we gonna do next time? We're gonna go play as Blue Team next time.
Their Blue Team's still in this game? What?
For the third time in Halo 5.
Oh, it hurts.
Right.
It physically hurts.
That will do it for our debriefing of the Genesis mission from Halo 5. On the next episode, we'll be covering The Breaking. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve.
Evolved.